Imagine the Vikings offense with one more weapon that defenses simply cannot ignore during the final minutes of a playoff push. While the NFL draft is dominating the headlines at TCO Performance Center, my sources inside the building are pointing toward a different set of moves. General Manager Rob Brzezinski hasn't just been sitting on his hands. He is quietly preparing to unleash some serious dry powder on the free agent market. But which specific veterans are at the top of their secret list? The answer could completely reshape the power dynamic of the NFC North this upcoming season. Jauan Jennings is the name that is currently generating massive buzz inside the Vikings front office circles as the draft approaches. The former 49ers standout is a fascinating case because he remains available on the open market despite being one of the most reliable third-down targets in the league over the last 2 years. Jennings has hauled in 15 touchdowns and over 1,600 yards while playing behind elite stars, yet he still hasn't found a long-term home for the 2026 season. The word around the league is that his asking price might have scared some teams off initially, with one anonymous head coach even suggesting he has outplayed his natural talent profile. However, for a team like Minnesota that needs a physical, veteran presence to slot in behind Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, Jennings represents a potential steal if the price aligns with the Vikings' remaining cap strategy. Brzezinski hinted at the owners' meetings that the team has the financial flexibility to act late in the cycle, much like they have in previous off-seasons to bolster the roster. If Minnesota doesn't land a high-end receiver in the mid-rounds of the draft, Jennings becomes the primary pivot point for this offense. He provides the kind of insurance Kevin O'Connell loves, especially with TJ Hawkinson working his way back from injury. But Jennings isn't the only veteran currently under the microscope in Egan. While the passing game needs a boost, there is a much more physical battle brewing in the trenches that could determine the fate of the entire offensive line. Blake Brandel is the internal favorite right now to take over the center position following the retirement of Ryan Kelly. But the organization is far from convinced that the job is 100% secured. Randall showed some real promise during a 6-game stretch in 2025, specifically ending the season with 3 dominant performances that caught everyone's attention on film. However, the front office is still weighing whether a young, converted player is enough to protect the franchise's investment under center, which brings an entirely different veteran name into the fold as a possible late summer arrival. Do you think Jauan Jennings is the missing piece for this Vikings offense to become truly unstoppable next year? Before we dive into the defensive reinforcements and the battle on the offensive line, make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave a like right now. Your support keeps our insider reports flowing every single day. What is your take? Blake Brandel has the inside track, but the Vikings' coaching staff is making it very clear that they want a truly competitive environment at the center position this summer. Kevin O'Connell has been vocal about wanting depth that can win, and that is where former Browns center Ethan Pocic enters the conversation. Pocic has 4 years of starting experience in Cleveland's sophisticated system and would bring a level of veteran stability that Brandel simply cannot offer yet. While Brandel had those impressive PFF grades late last season, Pocic was a rock for the Browns during a chaotic 2025 campaign, allowing only 2 sacks across over 500 pass-blocking snaps. The main concern with Pocic has always been his durability, as he has struggled to stay on the field for a full 17-game schedule. But if the Vikings can get him on a team-friendly, late off-season deal, he provides the perfect safety net or even a bridge starter, while Brandel continues to refine his technique at the pivot. My sources indicate that the team is monitoring Pocic's market closely, waiting for the post-draft wave of cuts and signings to see if his price point drops into their comfort zone. It is a calculated gamble, but it is exactly the kind of move Brzezinski is known for making when he mentions that dry powder in the budget. Protecting the quarterback is priority number 1, and relying solely on a young player with limited starting experience at center is a risk this front office might not be willing to take. However, the offensive line isn't the only unit that lost significant veteran leadership recently. The defensive side of the ball is currently looking at a massive void in the middle of Brian Flores' front 3. After moving on from both Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, the Vikings are currently leaning on a very young group led by Jalen Redmond. While the draft will likely provide some help, the reality of the situation is that this defense needs a veteran anchor who can eat double teams and allow the linebackers to roam free. This brings us to a massive name on the defensive market who could change everything for Brian Flores. DJ Reader is the veteran force that could immediately fix the most glaring weakness on the Vikings' defensive interior. At 31 years old, Reader is still one of the premier nose tackles in the NFL, having spent the last 2 seasons as a vital part of the Detroit Lions' defensive front. He brings a level of experience and physical presence that the Vikings currently lack after their recent roster cuts. Bringing in a player like Reeder isn't just about the stats. It is about the structural integrity of Brian Flores' defensive scheme. Without a dominant presence at the point of attack, the aggressive blitz packages that Flores loves to run become much more difficult to execute. Reeder has proven over a decade that he can hold the line against the best interior offensive linemen in the world, and adding him to a group that includes Levi Drake Rodriguez and Tyrion Ingram Dawkins would take the pressure off those younger players to perform immediately. There is obviously a risk factor here given his age and the physical toll of playing nose tackle, but for the Vikings, it is a risk well worth taking. The front office knows that they cannot go into the 2026 season with a defensive line that is this inexperienced. Even if they use one of their 4 top 100 picks on a defensive lineman, having a veteran mentor like Reeder in the room is invaluable. The impact of a move like this would be felt across the entire roster. It would signal to the veterans that the Vikings are still in a win-now mode despite some of the turnover we've seen this spring. Looking ahead, the strategy seems clear. Use the draft to build the long-term foundation, but keep enough cap space available to plug these veteran holes once the market settles. If they can land a combination of Jennings, Pochik, or Reeder after the draft, the Vikings will head into training camp with a much more balanced and dangerous roster than what we currently see on paper. The front office is playing the long game here, waiting for the right moment to strike while others overspend early. This is the Brzezinski way, and it has served this franchise well in the past when navigating the complexities of the salary cap and roster construction. When you look at the big picture for the Minnesota Vikings right now, it is clear that we are in a transition phase, but it is a transition with a very specific purpose. The front office isn't just tearing things down. They are carefully selecting where to spend their resources to ensure they remain competitive in a brutal NFC North. The interest in veterans like Jauan Jennings, Ethan Pochik, and DJ Reeder shows that the organization values the stability that only veteran experience can provide in high-leverage situations. For the fans, this might feel like a quiet offseason compared to the fireworks we see elsewhere, but the real work is happening behind the scenes. This strategy of holding onto dry powder allows Minnesota to be the team that picks up the high-value pieces that others couldn't afford during the initial free agency frenzy. It is about building a roster that is deep enough to survive the inevitable injuries that derailed the 2025 season. Whether it is Jennings providing a reliable target on third down, Pochik stabilizing the offensive line, or Reeder anchoring the defensive front, these moves will define the ceiling for the 2026 Vikings. The draft will give us the future, but these late-stage free agent signings will determine the present. This team is 1 or 2 smart moves away from having a roster that can compete for a division title, and the next few weeks will be critical in making that happen. We will be watching every move the front office makes and bringing you the inside scoop as soon as it happens. Do you agree with the plan to wait for late summer veterans, or should the Vikings have been more aggressive earlier in March? Tell me what you think in the comments below because I read every single one of them. If you want to stay ahead of every Vikings rumor and official move, you need to be part of this community. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel and that you have those notifications turned on so you never miss a breaking update from inside the building. Give this video a like if you are excited about the potential of this roster. This is a journey we are all on together, and the best is yet to come for the purple and gold. Skol Vikings, and we will see you in the next report with more exclusive details you won't find anywhere else.